never change, even if they start to hate on my name. Stay true to yourself and never ride another wave. They say that I ain't been acting the same. I wasn't happy, won't go back again. Moving and shake until they know the name. Can't handle the boy because they sound the same, yeah. I came to save you from all of the fakers. Wanna know about me, then call all of my haters. They'll tell you that the boy ain't really worth it. In the stew every week with the same purpose. The boy been hot in a lit furnace. I feel like I deserve this. We will never change, yeah. Always moving major. Saying that I'm not the one, but you've been sounding crazy. We will never change, yeah. Always moving major. Saying that I'm not the one, but you've been sounding crazy.
Believe that can fly, that's Kelly. Grew up on West, ain't nothing you can tell me. Knew they would ride with me once they knew my M.O. Better hold on, whoa Nelly. I must say what I need to say, mayor. Watch how I built it out, I'm the conveyor. At these shows and I rap and I know they gon' clap. Yeah, they put their hands together, no prayer. I ain't worried about you, I'm just worried about me. What I know is what I'll be. And y'all was heartless, got you out of my system to make good music. No ID. You will never bring me down, never break my stride. I'ma make it out by rapping how I feel inside, yeah.
We will never change, yeah. Always moving major. Saying that I'm not the one, but you've been sounding crazy. We will never change, yeah. Always moving major. Saying that I'm not the one, but you've been sounding crazy. You know I always stand tall. They gon' wanna see me fall. Sounding crazy. We will never change, yeah. Always moving major. Saying that I'm not the one, but you've been sounding crazy. Saying that I'm not the one, but you've been sounding crazy.
I've been gone, but my dreams becoming real life. The closer that I get, I feel like it's not even in sight. Shows around the nation, but it started with the missed flight. Wonder if these sounds are saying I'm not made for this life. Everyone been putting on this image like they blessed now, but really they've been thinking that they'll lose it all and wake up feeling stressed out. Now everybody's spending weekends getting drunk at clubs. I'm busy working while they finding temporary love. I made the sacrifices praying that it's worth it, but I know it's gonna work and I'ma get what I deserve until I'm gone.
People gonna keep on talking about me, but they don't understand the work that I do when they're not around me. They don't understand the life I chose, the nights alone, the highs and lows. They keep on talking about me, but they don't understand.
I'm doing everything I wanted when I started off, and now I realize that this ain't what I thought it was. And everything is amazing until you got it, like that girl you really wanted, but then you wanna just cut her off. I got a problem with finally being satisfied. Everything I got, I just wanna see it be multiplied. But every day I think about the shit I take for granted. Too many people want my spot, they tryna make me panic. Nobody coming close to where I really wanna be. I'm busy working day and night. I'll never stop like Gary V. I'm coming for that MVP, aiming for that Hall of Fame. I don't mind if you don't like me, everyone gon' know my name.
People gonna keep on talking about me, but they don't understand the work that I do when they're not around me. They don't understand the life I chose, the nights alone, the highs and lows. They keep on talking about me, but they don't understand.
What is going on, NBL Network? We are live, episode number 55, live streaming here on youtube.com/Madden Bomber League. As I said earlier, just seconds ago, episode number 55, NCAA tournament just kicked off, or just tipped off today, and our brackets are nearly busted. Most of you guys probably feel the same way. Lip, how's your bracket doing so far?
It's not doing too great. I had a little bit of a mishap earlier today.
What was the mishap? Let's be. Oh, you had the wrong bracket that you put in there.
Yeah, I was doing some tinkering. Everything was going fine, and ended up I took out the bracket that I spent all of my time on. I took it out of our group. I don't even know how it happened, and it ended up putting in a bracket that like half auto-filled, and I was in the process of fixing it. And then the game started, it locked me out, so I got a real messed up bracket in a group. I'm not going to do too hot.
So what games have you lost already? Are you like at the bottom or what?
I mean, I could pull it up, but I think
It would never pull out though.
it's not looking good.
Well, who do you have to win? Is it Duke?
So the group, the bracket that's in our group, I would never pick this ever. I would never pick Michigan State to win it all. And out of the game so far, I'm at 12%. So I'm having a bad day.
12%. And who'd you say you had to win it all?
The bracket that I wanted to have in there
Was Duke, obviously,
was
right?
Duke,
Yeah,
of course.
Every year. All right, but who was it
Every
on this
year.
one?
Michigan State, and I would never.
They look bad round one.
They're decent for like the first two rounds. They're just not a team I want to pick to win it all ever.
Let me know in the chat if you had Marquette, because you're with me. That was my first L of the day. I thought I was going good. I thought I was going to be on TV, maybe win the $1 billion or whatever it is.
Oh,
Didn't happen. Yeah, Marquette ended up letting. Yeah, I didn't realize they had the number one. They were playing against the number one guard in the country. I should have done a little bit more homework, but yeah, that just wasn't it. Let's get right into the show. We're going to go ahead and talk about some Bleacher Report, talk about the magazine. Also, you see on the side right there, the little bar, we got Bleacher Report recap. Aaron Rodgers at 38 having his best career season of the cycle, best season of the cycle. Broncos running attack. The NFC Wildcard Race, which was kind of big news 48 hours ago. Not so much big news anymore, Lip. I know I wanted to have that on here, but by the time we got to the show, collapses were made, and it's.
I was just gonna say a bunch of teams.
Yeah, this is gonna be a short episode.
They had a chance, and they immediately ducked under the covers. And
yeah. What happened?
Ruined their chances and our topic. So
we're going to be talking about what happened. Aaron Rodgers obviously still alive and well, looking good at 38 years young. But let's go ahead and let's get right into the show today. We're right here. We're at the Twitter account. We just had a new magazine dropped. I believe it was on March 18th. NBL Magazine 229 featuring Baker Mayfield. His first year in Buffalo. Has changed the team on the field some, but his leadership in the locker room and the culture has dramatically changed. What do you think about this cover? Sharp cover right there. Baker Mayfield, he's got his evening attire on as he's headed out for the night there in Cleveland. The Savior has arrived. That's the title. 10 for 10, 9 for 10. Where you at with this one, Lip?
I'm at an 8. I don't like Baker Mayfield's face very much. He just doesn't look
punchable face.
Yeah, I don't like his face, but I like him in Buffalo. He's playing a lot better.
What don't you like about his face? I mean, is this someone that maybe Nikki finds attractive or something like that? Maybe during a downtime, like you haven't y'all been together since 3rd grade, so maybe like a 7th grader's got to kind of look like that. Maybe quarterback on the B team kind of was inching in, or no? No, am I completely off base here?
I mean, I wouldn't say that. I don't know. I would ask.
It sounds like there's some story. Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna have a part 2 follow-up to this. What was the Walking Dead follow? You never got into Walking Dead, did you? What was Talking Dead? Yeah, we're gonna have talking.
Are you kidding me?
CC pod.
That is the dumbest that is the dumbest thing in the entire world. I can't stand that people actually sit down and watch a show talking about a show like that.
I mean, engaging in chat activity, it literally drove an after show for the show with the actors on there talking. So, yeah, I never got into it either. Let's go ahead and move on. Savior has arrived, though. Where are you at? 8 to 10, 9 to 10? What do you think on the cover?
I like the street look. It's a look that we don't get a lot, but it is good, and especially it kind of fits because, holy goodness, there's some bangarang happening in my house.
It might be Baker slipping in.
Baker's coming in the back door after my wife.
Hello, looks like she's gonna have a brother or a sister, ladies and gentlemen.
It is what it is. I'm currently busy. If he can get it done in an hour.
Jamie in the chat says Baker the home wrecker. All right, shout out to Bomber League, specifically Captain Planet for the pizza. Now I get to watch some March Madness while eating some good pizza. So we got a picture on that. I know we're gonna get the Bleacher Report in just a little bit. But I wanted to check this out. What do you guys think about this pizza? This is called vodka pizza. Lip, you familiar with this up north or no? You never went too far east to see it? Or
I was reading Star talk about it in the chat. I've never had it. My question is, this is probably a dumb redneck
Is it something about vodka?
Yeah, does it taste? does it have like a vodka taste?
And if I know nothing about it. I know zero about it. My wife seemed to school me on it, but then Eric G was like, dude, she doesn't know what she's talking about either. So she doesn't know nothing either. Look, so yeah, Eric wants to know if this. Eric wants to ask Eric G. Lip wants to ask Eric G. if this tastes somewhat like vodka. So if Z-Star's in there, he'd know as well. But here's the question: is it any good? Does it change it? Is it tangy? I mean, what is the deal with the vodka thing? I don't understand it. And that pizza to me just looks very weird. It almost looks like it has some bacteria on the top of it.
Isn't vodka made from like potatoes?
Potatoes, yeah. That's what I was thinking.
I could see how that would be.
It would go together.
It would add a cool flavor, because a lot of things made with potatoes taste good. So I can understand it, but I don't know what it tastes like to comment.
Jamie in the chat saying vodka sauce is horrible, and then you got Double A trying to bring up his chicken parmesan. He wants that to be talked about.
Oh, good lord!
are we off the vodka train?
I honestly had moved past the chicken parm for about a day. I totally forgot about it till right now.
Yeah, I don't even want to. It was more like chicken arm, not much parm. It was definitely something different. All right, let's get out of here. Obviously, shout out to Captain Planet for that. Let's move on to Bleacher Report. We'll click here. We'll see what's up on the Bleacher. Kevin White, is that Kevin White and Antonio Brown? We got to get an updated Bleacher Report. Those guys aren't even on those teams anymore in NBL or in real life. So might want to upgrade that. We got some division banners going up. Let's go back here. We'll just go back about 12 hours, Lip. What do you think about that? How about Morning Buzz from 11 hours ago today? Is that a fair deal? The Saints escaped Charlotte. Charlotte. I hate when they do that. It's very confusing to me when you say that, because I'm playing this 2K series and I'm Charlotte and I'm thinking, huh? All right, they escaped Charlotte with the victory over the Panthers, 32-27. I watched that game. That was an NBL Live game. That was a fun. Two great NBL Live games last night. Broadcast 279. Enjoyed both of them. They were very good. Miami Dolphins lock up the #1 seed in the AFC with the win over the Ravens. Not surprised there. Did you know the Jaguars wide receiver Chark and Conley, wide receivers Chark and Conley, are first and second in receiving yards in this NBL season? That's a pretty good did you know. A lot of yards going on over there, Lip. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I've been using this saying a lot lately, and it's mainly basketball, but that's a lot of empty stats over there. You know, a lot of yards, a lot of fantasy football stats, but why is it not converting to wins for the Jacksonville Jaguars? You see all these yards, you see you're the owner over there, you think, okay, that's got to mean dubs, right? How bad is the defense? What's going on?
There's a lot of bad going on, and that means there's not a lot of good going on. I
think there's a lot of bad and a lot of good. I think there's both. Just the bad is
fantastic for whoever took Conley. Like,
yeah, I'm going Jaguars fantasy in every single round if I can, just because unless we can take defense, then that might change up.
Yeah, don't do that.
Some things kind of spread it out, but if we're just offensive only, I'm going to have to go Jaguars just because just the amount of viable people that are actually scoring out there and the way that they're putting up points. You got to go with them. But Saints defeat the Panthers, and Saints rocking and rolling, going to get that number 2 seed in the NFC. Moving along, the Detroit Lions have punched their ticket to postseason action in NBL Season 37. They successfully locked in the number 1 spot in the NFC North with 2 games left in the regular season. Roster decisions will be critical to make a strong push in the playoffs. Also, the Detroit Lions injury update. Gerard Davis placed on injury reserve. He's out. He missed last season, which hurt us in the running the defense to stop the New York Giants. Dallas Cowboys kind of running attacks. That's big news. Malik Ali's obviously isn't going to be able to come back till NFC Championship around that time if we were to make it there. So a lot of injuries for the Detroit Lions spread out right now. Pretty good season for myself. I think we play well. There was one point I thought, man, I might not make the playoffs, but then thankfully I'm in the division with Draco, a.k.a. Mr. Choke Artist, getting it done. The Miami Dolphins, AFC East champions. Dolphins dominated NBL Season 37 as they are currently 14-0 with home field advantage already locked up. The team is setting themselves up nicely to make it back to the big game. The big game being the Super Bowl lip. How impressed have you been with Miami's bounce back after a disappointing Super Bowl 36 last season against the New York Giants?
Well, very impressed. I mean, they're very good. They did a lot of things in the offseason. They reloaded an already great team. But the thing is, this says they're setting themselves up nicely. I would be cautious. You're 14-0. We know what happens to teams who are 16-0 going into the playoffs. An awful, horrible, terrible collapse happens all the time. So I would just be aware that is a real, very alive and well thing, curse, if you will, in the NBL. So 14-0, 2 games left. I might just take a back seat for a couple games and see what's going on, because I think they have the number 1 seed locked up. They're ready to go for playoff time.
Yeah, they got it locked up. They're undefeated right now. On the flip side, the Giants have yet to lose. Obviously a tie against the Detroit Lions, but no losses yet. Live on the NBL Super Show, the Colts beat the Cincinnati Bengals 26-20. It was a close game all 4 quarters, even went to overtime, but McBride, the rookie, was able to pull it out at the end, throwing for 307 yards, 2 touchdowns. Unfortunately, they lost middle linebacker Deron Lee out 6 weeks. Darren Lee out 6 weeks with an abdominal tear. And here's what Double A said about this. He said, "We needed this game, and the team showed poise to get it done. McBride looks more and more like an established veteran every week." Hashtag chicken parmesan. That's from Double A. Double A, are you impressed with these Colts at all? I feel like they're kind of flying under the radar right now. I mean, they're winning, but...
But the thing is, like, they do this, they're right around the same point. They're going to win 10 or 11 games. They haven't really had success in the playoffs, deeper in the playoffs, but I wouldn't be too worried about losing Lee because they've got a lot of linebacker depth, good coaching over there in the linebacker squad, so I wouldn't be too worried about that injury. Their offense is going. McBride is playing very well, and they got it done, which is, I don't know if he should be using that word a lot, because the way you see him cook chicken parm, that wasn't done at all.
Wait, cook? You mean prepare? We're being politically correct here. We can't say cooked. It was prepared. I don't know if anything on that was cooked. Jeff Port's in the chat. Jay Ports, a.k.a. my new best friend, he says, "Is Double A going to be catering the Virginia Beach trip?" Absolutely. He's looking for a Super Bowl. He's not going to be there, so you know what he's going to do? He's going to cater this trip, chicken parmesan buffet. We're all going to get sick. He's going to get, simulation wins. He's going to ride it all the way to the Super Bowl. There won't be a league left, obviously, because he's going to be going to about 20 funerals, and the league will eventually collapse because food poisoning would kill us all.
It won't take long to prepare that meal. We'll be eating quickly because we won't be, spending any time in the oven.
There's a lot of debate talking about that marinara sauce. I assume that's what it's supposed to be. We don't know
that Jello stuff.
Yeah, people said Jello. People said ketchup. People have said, what the hell? I said I think it's the inside of a fish, just filleted but not cooked, just kind of laid softly on there. And then the best thing I've heard so far was Serb zoomed into my Jordan 11, Jordan, what was it, Jordan, oh my gosh, I don't know, Jordan 12 flu games, whatever they are, and he zoomed into the red leather, and he goes, that looks like the same thing there, so he thinks it's flu game leather on the chicken parm.
I don't know who said it. Somebody sent that to one of their friends, and they said that it looked like a dollar store dog toy.
Oh wow, a dog toy from a dollar store. That's a pretty good one, actually.
Yeah, whenever he said it, I said, "Oh my God, I've seen that at the dollar store 1,000 times, just looking for stuff. I've seen that dog toy for sure."
Yeah, and if that's healthy eating, Double A, I don't think eating the dog toy would be very healthy. I thought it was spaghetti sauce, is what Brad's saying. Eric G saying tomato paste. Double A saying, use your imagination. Don't know what that is implying. Gibbs is saying the roasting of Double A continues. It will never end. And that's where we're at. All right, moving forward, the Colts obviously won the AFC South. Rookie quarterback McBride, he's right there. He's going to be in the MVP candidate race. I don't know if he wins MVP. I got to vote. I don't know where I'm going to rank him out of everybody, but he's been extraordinary. Definitely Rookie of the Year, hands down, right? Is that even questionable at this point? Has anybody played better than McBride as far as rookie quarterbacks go?
No, and the thing is, like, whenever you're talking about Rookie of the Year, I always give a lot more credit to the quarterback position. There's a lot of pressure, a lot of things depend on the quarterback position. Whenever you're a rookie and can get it done, 35 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, a QBR of 119. That's really good, and maybe that's what they need to push them into the next level of the playoffs. They've got Le'Veon Bell averaging 6 yards a carry, but McBride has played absolutely well. Top 5 offense this year, 9-5, winning the division, going on to the playoffs, looking good. Yeah, looking good. I mean, the record isn't anything phenomenal, but at times they've looked way better than they should with the rookie quarterback under center with a team that's had so many moving pieces. You see Le'Veon Bell come in there and straight ball out. The NBL Falcons, lose to the Seattle Seahawks 23-20, week 15. Unfortunately, the Falcons have lost their top receiver to an upper arm fracture out 7 weeks. That's Calvin Ridley. This will be the 4th straight season that Ridley has gotten injured. Is it time to move on from Calvin Ridley? A lot of injuries in Atlanta. You know, a lot of players on those teams just don't seem to stay healthy in critical times of the season. Is it time to move on from a talent like Calvin Ridley? Or do you say, let's just gather some more depth at wide receiver and be prepared for this? Because honestly, if I'm the Atlanta Falcons, I'm looking at my team, very talented team on paper, just not able to get it done throughout the season. You saw year 1 of this cycle. They were the number 2 seed in the NFC, looked very strong. A loss in the playoffs to the Detroit Lions, and they haven't seemed to really recover from that season. You've seen the division kind of pass around to everybody, and now it looks like the Saints are going to end up winning that division again. What's the next move here for the Falcons? Is it move on from these talented pieces that continuously get injured? Or is it to kind of hang on to them and just try to get depth around them and hope you can brace for impact when one of them goes down? Well, see, bracing for impact is actually going to talk about my point. You don't got to get rid of him. You got to use him differently. So he played there with Julio Jones, and Julio is a bigger receiver, could go over the middle, take hits, and still come up with the football. Calvin Ridley's a little bit smaller, a little lighter, can't take those hits quite as well, so that's why he's getting hurt. You've got to bring in somebody else that can go over the middle like that. Doesn't have to be as flashy and fast as Calvin Ridley. Yeah. But use Calvin Ridley on the outside, get him under the hash marks and sidelines. Attack those with Calvin Ridley, yeah. And then you can use a big tight end inside the hash marks. He's going to be able to get banged around and take those hits, but Calvin Ridley can't do that. He's not Julio Jones. He's a very good receiver. He's just not the build of Julio Jones, and that's why you're seeing him get hurt so much. A shout out to the Cincinnati Bengals halfback rookie Cortez Overton. He looked phenomenal on NBL Live as well. Couldn't come away with the dub. The Bucs beat the Browns 17-16 in Week 15. The Bucs are 10-4 and are on a 6-game winning streak. That means they were 4-4. Quick math for you. They finished the season with the Los Angeles Rams, the Seattle Seahawks. Can the Bucs finish the season strong with 2 more wins and keep that momentum going into the playoffs? I absolutely say yes, but put a pin in that one. We'll talk about them on the NFC Wildcard Race here in just a little bit. Moving forward, the Kansas City Chiefs defeat the Broncos. I'm bored already. I've heard that a million times already. The Chiefs kept Andrew Luck's offense in check. Of course they did, holding Denver to just 79 passing yards, not surprised, and an interception. Surprised it's not 2 or 3. The Broncos can still clinch the last wildcard spot with the win or a Cleveland Browns loss in the next 2 weeks, but man, how dominant have the Kansas City Chiefs been over this Denver Broncos team? At this point, the Broncos have to think, we've tried everything. We've flipped it around. We've 180'd it, and now we're right back where we started, and it just doesn't seem like it's happening. They can't beat this team. Psychologically, it's not happening. Yeah, and that's the thing. Being held to 79 passing yards, we'll talk about this later. Their strength is not passing, so that doesn't surprise me, but you have to be able to get into that 150 range if you're going to run the ball, pass decently to compete with a team like this, or else they're just going to smother you. And then when you're that one-dimensional, a team like this, especially with that offense, they're going to smother your offense, and then they're going to light it up with theirs. So we've seen that time and time again. You've talked about The Broncos are slowly building, and I really need to emphasize slowly. It's such a slow process, but they are getting better every year. I just don't know if it's ever
I like
the
Broncos.
The Chiefs.
And the worst thing about the Denver Broncos, if you're a Broncos fan, is you're in a division with the Kansas City Chiefs, and they're just as young as you in positions, and they're probably younger than you across the board, more talented than you, and they're just a really bad matchup. You ever hear that term in football? That team is just a bad matchup for them. That's exactly what you see with the Denver Broncos. This is a high-octane offense that's going to continue to drive the ball down the field. Meanwhile, you got a slow, molasses-moving offense that doesn't get into the end zone much and relies on the defense to create turnovers. It's just a bad matchup. I like Kansas City all day, every day. Shout out to the Arizona Cardinals winning back-to-back NFC West championships with 2 weeks remaining. The 9-5 now in one Arizona Cardinals, as they just lost to the Detroit Lions, have clinched the division and are in position for the number 4 seed, which would put them against the Dallas Cowboys, who will be the 5 seeds. What are your thoughts on the Arizona Cardinals, back-to-back champions in the NFC West? Is that impressive, not impressive? What do you expect for them against the Dallas Cowboys in round 1 wildcard action in the NBL Season 37 playoffs?
Well, we talked about this exact same thing. This basically the exact same episode last year, lead into playoffs. They're gonna get to this point. I see this. I think every season they're gonna get to this point. They're gonna have 9, 10, 11 wins. They're gonna win that division. They're gonna get in the playoffs, and then they're gonna get smothered because they don't have anything other than David Johnson on their offense. They can't throw the ball elitely enough.
You don't think Juju Smith-Schuster is good enough?
I just don't believe it come playoffs.
What about Rosen? Not good enough?
I just don't believe in their passing game. They are all David Johnson, and if he goes out, they are completely out, in my opinion.
DJ has
the thing that puts them in that position every year, and he is honestly the one thing that will hold him back because they believe in him so much. And there's a lot of good run defenses in the NFC come playoff time. So when you're only relying on that and you don't have anything else to build upon, I just don't see a deep playoff run in their future.
All right, number 6, the quarterback Deion Atkins has notified the Oakland Raiders that he will not be resigning. Coming off the best year of his career, the 24-year-old from Auburn will be finding a new landing spot in free agency, a new team. Oakland will look for their next quarterback. I'm disappointed. I thought the second half of the season for Oakland, they were the best non-playoff team rocking and rolling. You can make an argument for it. 4 out of their last 5 games they won. They surprised me a little bit. They were kind of hot for a second, mathematically stayed in the playoff race a lot longer than we thought. I mean, into week 12, week 13. This is a good team. I thought they were building something, and now just start over from scratch, quarterback's gone. I don't like that. I don't like the rebuild like that. I'm kind of disappointed in the Oakland Raiders. I'd like to see them keep Deion Atkins, but if they can flip that guy into a star rookie, okay, then I might be back on board. But I think this is kind of a big loss for Oakland, basically telling the rest of the league, hey, we might have a better season, but we're still not going to be able to hold on to our star players.
Yeah, and the thing is they lose this quarterback. Then now you've got to restart building timing, rhythm, relationships with the most important piece in your offense. They are in the bottom portion of the league in terms of offense, and they've only got $9 million in free salary cap right now. I don't know what they're going to do rebuild with that little, and also having to get a quarterback. So what I'm saying is I don't really think they're going to be able to land any free agent quarterbacks that are going to make a big impact. And if they start over with a rookie, I don't know if they have a whole lot of space to build around him. So 6-8, that's like you said, they were hot down the stretch. 2 games left. They could finish 8-8. But what's that going to do for them whenever they have to start rebuilding?
Yeah, just really, you're not building on the pieces. I'm on board with you with that. I don't like it. I like the Raiders. I don't like the loss. Cringe says Atkins has done really well. I was hoping he'd stay in Oakland too. We're all on board. That's 3 right there. 3, 4. Yes, we're really believing that. This is a big-time loss. Let's go ahead and move on. We're going to move forward in the show. We're going to be taking a look at Aaron Rodgers and how great he's been. Let's get right into it. Into it to do it. Aaron Rodgers on the season. I mean, let's take a look. 3,421 yards, 24 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, a 115 QBR. Do you know where he ranks as far as yards? This is his best season by far. He's never had 100 QBR. I don't think he's even been over 80 this cycle. He's over 100 now at 115. He's 8th in passing as far as yards go. He's thrown over 300 passes, but completed over 200 of them at 67.9%. That puts him in the top 7 as well. This guy, just 38 years young, just kind of having a little bit of a resurgence here. in NBL Season 37. How impressive has he been? But before you answer that, check out our sponsor, CFNclothing.com. You're going to want to check that out. We got some new Virginia Beach wear coming up in the next 48 to 72 hours. Tank tops, T-shirts, all kinds of crazy colors. We got 2 different ones, and on the back of one of them is going to say heading to Mermaids, and everybody who's going to Virginia Beach knows what that is, and everybody in the league should know what that is by now. But yeah, make sure you check it out, CFNclothing.com. Hit the NBL merch tab or go to 365.maddenbomberleague.com. But let's get back to Aaron Rodgers real quick. Number 4. Why is he wearing number 4? We talked to him. Aaron, why number 4? Why the change? And he says, why not? I mean, why not? Who cares? At this point of his career, he's rocking number 4 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Are you mad at him for that? Not keeping his number all the way through, not number 12 in Tampa? I don't know. I guess we lost Lip.
Oh no, I was holding the wrong button to talk. My bad. No, whenever you're playing sports, your number's a big part of it. Everybody's got a reason why they have the number that they have.
What was your number?
34.
34.
34.
Why is that? Why was it number 34?
I really have this weird thing where I hate where the first number is bigger than the second number. So like 21 would bother me, or like 32 would.
Well, that still leaves a lot of options open. Okay.
Really, I know, but it just ended up. I really like 3-4, and it was a good number. But there's a lot of connection with players in the numbers. So whenever you go somewhere, a fresh start.
What kind of defense you run in the NBL? Your team defense. 4-3, right?
If you call it that. But yeah,
you run a 40, right? Where you give up 40 a game. You run that 40 defense.
Like
3-4. There we go. Number 34, guys. Let me know what your numbers were in there. Actually, I want to know what Jamie's number is. I've seen his high school photos, and I forget which number he wears. He says he got a fullback number. What do you guys got? Brett Favre, yeah. JB, yeah. He's wearing Brett Favre's number 4. Brad says he's number 56, of course. T. Porter says dope graphic. Alex in the chat, that is the original DB, says what's up, what's going on, appreciate you stopping by. We got 17 viewers. Guys, make sure you hit the thumbs up sign, thumbs up button there on the screen for us during this live stream, please. We would greatly appreciate that. Also, Aaron Rodgers, impressive. We want to talk about this. 38 years old. Is he in the MVP conversation, you think, Lip? Kind of came on a little bit late. He's just outside of the top 5, kind of everywhere, 24-12. A good season. I don't know if he's really in the MVP discussion, but he's definitely someone we're discussing right now because he's 38 and had such a horrendous cycle until now. He's played for the Green Bay Packers, Los Angeles Rams. He's made a ton of money in the NBL this cycle. Arguably, maybe that's something we should track. What's the most money somebody's made this cycle? I think he's probably made the most. Would you think anybody's made more money than him?
No, I mean, quarterback of his talent going to 2 new teams, the Rams and the Bucs.
And he 1-year dealed both the times in the Rams, in which he made more each time. It went from 38 to 41. Oh man, he made $120 million in 3 seasons. I don't think anybody can get there. But thoughts on Aaron Rodgers? Is he in your MVP candidates? Is he top 5?
I'm not. I don't want to go top 5, but I think he's in the conversation. Like you will consider him whenever you're looking for nominees and stuff. Just because anytime that you have more, double amount of touchdowns that you do interceptions and a quarterback rating of right around 120, that 115 mark, it's really good. And just the fact that he's never had a season where he's thrown more than 20 touchdowns, and his highest QBR to this point was 83. He's had such a good year. And I remember we were talking about this before. We just wanted Aaron Rodgers to go away because people kept paying him so much money to come in and throw a lot more interceptions and touchdowns. We talked about it. We just wanted him to go away. We knew he was going to get another massive deal, but this time it actually played out really well.
So he'll probably retire now, right? Is that how it works out?
Yeah, but if he comes back next year and he's got a full season with that confidence, and the relationships with his teammate, and they can build the team a little bit better. He is really in line for another great year. So I would love to see him not retire because we're finally seeing Aaron Rodgers play the way that we always knew he could.
Jamie in the chat saying A-Rod is no MVP. I think he's in the discussion for being nominated. He's in the discussion for being in the discussion. And I'll tell you what, if Double A had a player like this and we didn't put him in the discussion for being in the discussion, we'd never hear the end of it. Jamie says just don't even talk about it.
Tied down in fifth.
Yeah,
If we didn't put him in.
I'm not saying he should win it. I'm just saying he should be in the discussion. All right, man. It's getting very, very deep here. Aaron Rodgers, great season. Somebody to watch. Tampa Bay Buccaneers will continue to watch him. Our next episode is actually going to be the rookie draft around that time. Lip, I want to make sure we do a rookie special. I want to talk about these teams we normally don't talk about. And then I want to do the spin the wheel in that section in which we can say, hey, where's this team going in the draft, and kind of give our analysis that way. So that's something for you guys to look forward to if you got any good ideas on how we can improve that. But let's go ahead and move on to the next topic here. We got the Broncos running attack. Giovanni Bernard and Alvin Kamara. What am I talking about? These guys on the season combine over 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns. They've been just tremendous. What do you think about these two dynamic duo in the backfield for the Denver Broncos? Is this enough? If they get into the playoffs, is this a scary little combination? Gun split close. You got Bernard, you got Kamara, two threats, dual threats. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's scary for the first quarter, maybe first half, until you realize that they don't have the ability to throw the ball, and then you load the box and you can really suffocate them. But I remember whenever these guys came to Denver, everyone was all hyped out about Kamara, and then I think he got injured, and Gio kind of picked up where Kamara left off. And Gio has been doing really good, kind of getting, one carry every time Kamara gets two. But then they just kind of both turned into this two-headed monster where they're getting over 10 touchdowns, over 1,000 yards. And it's kind of a mix-up. You don't know which back's going to do what, even though they're kind of similar. Kamara's obviously a lot better, but they're second in the NBL in rushing. So they're carrying this team totally on their backs because of the inability of the run game, or the passing game, sorry. And still getting their team to 8 wins. So it's definitely something to look at moving forward, because can you rely on these guys? Are they getting up in age? Are they going to be able to hold up to 150 carries every year? I don't know. But
I think Jamie made a good point in the chat.
Game, and then you can decide that.
Jamie made a great point in the chat. He says you look at the amount of carries they have, then you look at their yards per carry, and you think, wow, they should have a lot more touchdowns than they actually have. I think it's absolutely true. Right now, these guys are averaging 1 touchdown on about 20 carries, slightly over 20 carries. Is that a concern for you? To me, that's a big-time concern. If I'm sitting here looking at this team and I'm thinking, man, we're not getting enough production in the red zone from the running a game where they're not punching the ball in. We're having to settle for 3. That's my real disparaging kind of takeaway from this. 81 carries for Bernard, 461, 5.7 yards per carry, 4 touchdowns. $130 for Kamara was over 600, 4.7 yards per carry, 6 touchdowns. Where's the touchdowns? I feel like Kamara should be at 12 and Bernard should be at 8 to 10. And then I would say, wow, this is a very impactful. They're getting a touchdown about every 10, 10 and a half, 11 carries. That would be nice. Right now, it's 1 and over 20. That, to me, that's some quick math from Jamie. I absolutely think that's a kind of a cause for concern if you're a Denver Broncos fan. Quick thoughts on that Lib before we move on to this NFC Wildcard Race.
I think it would obviously help. I don't think it's the main reason why they're struggling, but I also think that that's their game. They're going to play this run game. They're going to average 5 yards a carry and play defense. They're top 10 in points. They're top 10 against the pass and rush in their defense. So they're going to play defense and run the ball. But like we already talked about, that's not going to hold up whenever you play the Chiefs. And you got to play them twice a year. They're going to win the division, so you got to fight for the wild card. So I do agree it's not quite enough. You've got to be able to punch it in a little bit more. But they are doing
here's the issue, Lib.
Things.
So the Chiefs can score really quickly. You're combating that by time of possession, running the ball, driving the ball down their throats, and just trying to shorten the game, right? But if they quickly score a touchdown, boom, 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 big play, touchdown, you go very methodically and slow down the field, and you get 3. Then they boom, 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 touchdown. Now the running game is slowly starting to get taken out of this game. It's 14-3, right? You know you need to score. You methodically drive down the field, field goal again. Then they quick play you again, big boom, 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 and you can hashtag, that's triple booms. Touchdown 21-6 is now what we're looking at. And what happens? You know, what happens at this situation if you are sitting here and you're the Denver Broncos? That's when you get into some big dog trouble when you're just kind of chasing points after you were trying to methodically drive down the field. I just think it's not the best situation for Denver Broncos. I don't think it's the greatest strategy. You got Andrew Luck. You got Julio Jones. maybe it's time to start airing it out, Lip, and kind of change it up. But we'll leave that for another day. We'll keep following the Broncos. We want to do better moving forward. Me and Lip talked about this, kind of just taking our storylines and things that we talk about, like Aaron Rodgers 38 and feeling great. Let's continue and driving that into the next episode and kind of just wrapping in things that we've talked about before and seeing where they kind of played out. But let's go ahead and move on. NFC Wildcard Race. Let's see where we're at here. Commissioner Corner Podcast, episode number 55. And this is pretty much what we got. Before we get into that, guys, twitch.tv/MBL Network. Don't miss any of the action. That's where all our live streaming is at. If you're catching our live games here or live streams here on YouTube, MBL Live is actually being exported over from Twitch over to our YouTube channel. So if you want to catch it live, twitch.tv/MBL Network. Real quick on this front, we're going to talk a little bit about these teams. We got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Redskins, Bears, Panthers, Falcons. I mean, it's already set in stone. Who's going to get number 6? It's this guy right here. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers got it. They got the tiebreaker over the Washington Redskins. The Redskins are the only team left with 6 losses. What do you think about Tampa? We already talked about them a little bit. How about this? How disappointed are you in the Chicago Bears being 7-7 and outside of the playoff hunt right now when they had a pretty commanding situation about Week 11?
Yeah, if you look at all of these teams, especially, and the one team that always is like this is the Bears. Like, they're in this position all the time where they've got a good lead and then they kind of collapse. They make it to the playoffs and they collapse. I just want to know what the issue is, because they always have great defense. But then expanding that, you had all of these teams in position, and the Buccaneers got that 1-point win, put them to 10 wins, and then you have the Bears, the Panthers, and the Seahawks all falling down to where they're 3 games back now. There's only 2 games left in the year, so they kind of just saw the moment, realized that it was right there for them to grasp, and they all just collapsed one after another. And
but you expect the Bears to get in. They made it every single season so far. This is the first time it hasn't been the Chicago Bears in the playoffs. In NFC North, you always see an NFC East, except for one year, I think it was the NFC South got 2 in. But, I mean, the Bears have been a staple of the playoffs, especially the wild card set, and right now they're out. The Carolina Panthers are out. Falcons obviously collapsed in the second part of their season. I think another loss today to the Cincinnati Bengals. They're obviously going to be getting a higher draft pick because of it. And the Redskins and Nemo, once again, close but no cigar for them. What's going on with Washington? A little disappointed. That's 2 of the last 3 seasons. They have been right on the cusp of making the playoffs, and they just kind of fall short.
Yeah, and we talked about the Redskins. Whenever they had this hot start, I think they started out 3-1. We thought that they were back. Just not quite enough. I guess they're not mathematically eliminated. They might still be able to get in, but it's just they're not going to be able to do anything if they do get in. But going back to the Bears, the real problem with them this year is their offense. Usually their offense is right around 15th or so in the league, right around the middle. This year it's in the absolute tank, 28th in rushing, 24th in passing, and they're only putting up 17 points a game. That's really bad when you consider that the defense there is allowing 18 points a game. That's not going to work out. And what's even more doom and gloom for the Bears is that they've got $6 million in free salary cap for next year. So what's going to happen there? Where do you go from here whenever you're a playoff team, and then you have this kind of down season and you don't have a ton of money to build on anything? I don't know what they're going to be able to do. Moving on to the Redskins, I really like this team. They had a couple years where they had earlier draft picks. They could make those guys into stars. But this is a team that's set up nicely for the future. If they're 8-6 right now, just say they lose their last 2 games, they're 500. They still have a middle of the road offense and defense. If they get a couple of picks, you pick pretty high at 8-8. So they can definitely get some depth and even some stars in free agency, because they've got $35 million in free cap right now. So that's a team. That's a hot team for next year. I think that the Redskins could definitely make the playoffs. I don't think they win the division.
They got a lot of cap, but it's time to blow it up. I'm off the wagon with the Redskins. I love the owner, Nemo. Don't take this personally, but I've said this before, and I'm gonna have to say it again. We just stretched out another season with these older wide receivers. It's time to start blowing it up. I need to see some youth movement there in Washington, which I think will set you about a season and a half behind. You won't be competing next year, but maybe the next year. I think the Redskins, this was their chance to kind of limp in, and then Tampa came in and played spoiler, because down the stretch they got some big dog wins. They beat the Saints. They beat the Browns. They pretty much beaten everybody right now. Very hot second half of the season for Aaron Rodgers, the 38-year-old, and this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. Very disappointed in the Washington Redskins. I think a collapse. I think that Titans loss just really killed them. and killed any momentum or chance they had to kind of backdoor their way into the playoffs. Anybody else you think on the AFC maybe side that you're going, man, you know, they should have made the playoffs this year, or they made the playoffs this year and I don't know how real they are? I mean, we talk about teams like the New York Jets, how great they were last season. Are they right back to where you thought they should be? Or was that just, are they just having a down season? Or was last year just kind of an anomaly of the last 2 seasons, or they just kind of limped in at the end? Is that pretty much their peak, or you think they just had a down year?
I mean, they do have to play 4 very, very challenging games in their division, but I don't think that's an excuse whenever you were, I think, 12-4 and then 9-7 last year, and now you're 6-8. It's not trending in the right direction. They're still a good team, but I think that they're too ground-based. And I don't know if they have a quarterback that they believe in long term. I'm just not sold on the Jets, and I'm especially not sold because of the division that they have to play in.
All right, let's move on to the Commissioner Corner podcast. Sorry about that. I had to plug my charger, and I was thinking Lip might be a little long-winded, but he was actually right on time with that one.
This was not a. I don't even know how many guys remember this.
What's that?
A lot of people probably won't even remember that time that we were doing the draft, and I was talking about the Patriots, and that was back when we watched like someone else's stream, and we were trying to time it out for like a minute, like 45 seconds, and I talked for like 4 minutes because my stream was going like really, really slow.
Oh, OSU, we still remember that. That was when OSU was one of the first times he was there. You guys, call into the phone lines right now. They're going to be up 330. The number's on the screen. My phone's in the middle of charging right now. It got to like 1%. It was like at 0.04%, and luckily Derek Fisher came by with the plug-in. Guys, if you don't watch basketball, you're not a Spurs fan or a Lakers fan, you don't know what I'm talking about, and that's okay. It's okay. But here we are. We're live here. YouTube.com/Madden Bomber League. The number is on the screen, 330-408-5253. You see it on the screen. Go ahead and give us a call. Call in. Let me know what you think about the show. Anything you want to talk about, please don't hesitate to give us a call. But in the meantime, we'll have the wheel back next week. Thoughts for upcoming episodes. Next episode, obviously, let's make it rookie draft centric, and let's talk about these teams at the beginning of this season and what they're going to do essentially in the draft to make them hopefully get a little bit better and take that next step.
Yeah, I mean, you got the Steelers. There's the Eagles. Actually, the team picking high in the draft, the 2-12 Chargers. I think they've shown the ability to draft really well. Whenever their guys are there, they play well. So 2-12 with a high draft pick, I think that they could get some stuff done. That's the Steelers too. I'm looking at. I really want them to have a good draft. I like the Steelers. I think that they could compete in the division where the Browns are kind of falling off the face of the earth. So if they could get a rebuild going real quick in the last couple seasons here, that could push them in the conversation for that division title.
All right, guys, the number is on the screen right now. That's 330-408-5253. Crossfire, call in. Right now, you call in. We'll get the live caller on air on the screen, and we'll get it rocking and rolling. We'll take a couple of calls, and then we'll end the show. I hear a couple people in the chat asking, what did he say? Who has the most to do in the offseason to become relevant again? Okay, that's an easy answer for me. Who do you think, Lip?
I mean, I would go with the Browns because they had such a dominant start,
Yep.
but that's easy because they've won their championships. They might just be taking the back seat and saying, we're they're paying people a lot of money or something. Everybody's got their reasons for not having success after they won. But I'm really looking at the Falcons. I think that they've got some good talent.
That's a good one.
I really think that they can compete in that division too. So you've got a division they can compete in. They've already got a good offense. Like we talked about, they use Calvin Ridley a little differently and play a little bit better defense. I think that they can be there. Now, the problem is right now that they are maxed out.
Yeah, how much of cap space do they have? See, I never like to get into under $1 million unless I feel like I got a chance to win the Super Bowl. At this point, I'm cutting people and I'm saying, hey, it's time to rebuild and get those guys on the field. We got a live caller. I know it's loud. I'm sorry, guys. I apologize. Answer right now. You are live on the air, Commissioner Corner podcast. Who am I speaking to?
This is Jamie, long time, first time.
This is Jamie, long time caller, first time listener. Or did I get that backwards, Jamie? Which one is it?
Something like that.
Something like that. Aaron Rodgers, what's your question? What do you got?
Well, with the March Madness tournament going on, do you see any Cinderella stories coming out of the playoffs for the AFC or the NFC?
All right, Jamie, I appreciate the question. I'm going to relay it to Lip since he can't hear right now. Jamie's question is, thanks for calling in, Jamie. Jamie's question is, his question is there any Cinderella stories essentially coming out of the NFC or AFC, since we're watching March Madness. He prefaced it with March Madness, Cinderella stories. Any Cinderella stories potentially in the NBL? Basically, how far can these Bucks go is what he wants to know. Because they are the Cinderella story right now. Second half balling. Yeah, 10-4 Cinderella story, believe it or not. They caught fire at the end. I appreciate that question. What do you think, Lip? Cinderella stories in the NBL right now?
Oh, boy. So, I mean, I do like the Bucks. But I like them on a level of good job getting into the playoffs, but I don't think that they do anything. They don't do everything well enough to get into that championship game or into the Super Bowl. A team that I really think that could make this run is the Saints. They're having a great year. They're kind of one of those teams that I kind of talk about the Colts like that. I'm talking about the Bucks like that right now. The Cardinals, they get into the playoffs. People don't think they have the juice to get into the NFC Championship or the Super Bowl. I think that's different this year. I think that 12-2, they're playing really good football. They've got it on both sides of the football. And I think that that's a team that could really do some damage. And if they don't do it this year, I think that they can absolutely do it next year. So
Nemo asked a good question. I actually got a great answer for him. Not to cut you off, Liv, but he's asking a pretty pertinent question right now about what would you say about these teams that are kind of on the cusp of the playoffs, but they never really make it in? What are they doing wrong? Let me read it again to make sure I'm not paraphrasing this incorrectly. He says, what do you think is the biggest problem with continuous on-the-cusp teams? Okay, here's the biggest problem, and I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm going to be direct. And I can be direct about the Redskins because I did BTF for the Washington Redskins. I watched them closely. Teams like Washington aren't the most talented teams when they step on the field. So they're already slightly at a disadvantage. They have a nice scheme. They play within themselves, but there are timely situations that mistakes are being made. You need to be thorough as an owner and go back and watch your game tape. Watch your situational football play calling and go, why did I call this here? What am I calling this here for? When you get beat, when you're over-aggressive at times, when you're not aggressive enough at times, finding that balance. There used to be a guy me and Lip used to play in the NBL. His name was, he was the Ravens. What was his name? He was a young kid. He ended up leaving the NBL. What was his name? CMF. CMF Lip was one of those guys that if he could just get if his situational defensive play calling was kind of in rhythm with your offense, he could cause a lot of problems. Yeah. So there is a lot of opportunity to become a better play caller. I think that's the difference between everything. And you look at this game, this Madden 19 game, you can be upset about things and whatever. We're all playing the same game. We're all getting the same stuff. Now, how do you maximize the positives and kind of just eliminate the negatives from being what you feel is taking you out of the game? You have to become a better situational play caller. You have to be more aggressive at times when you're less aggressive, maybe. It's all about that. What is your play calling inside the red zone? Are you coming away with touchdowns? I'm always looking at these things in the regular season, Lip. I'm looking at my third down percentage. I'm looking at my red zone efficiency. Am I coming away with touchdowns or am I having to settle for field goals? If I'm settling for field goals, I'm back in the lab trying to figure out how I can put double the points on the board by getting into the end zone when I do get inside of the red zone, because that's the difference maker in this game. People successful in the red zone that are successful but don't have to go to the high risk where they're turning the ball over, and they can come away with points and more than likely come away with touchdowns. That's the key to being successful in this game, in my opinion. Lip, any thoughts on that? What are your thoughts to the people on the cusp of the playoffs but continuously maybe miss out?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to go with something more, I guess, different than that, but it's kind of falls the same in line. There's a couple teams, and I mean, I'll point them out. I think that the Broncos and I think that the Seahawks are in this position where they run the ball really well, they don't pass the ball really well, and they only stick to that. And kind of going off of what you talked about, whenever you can identify some of the issues, some of the things that are causing you problems or holding you back, when you're right on there, you have on that verge, you have to change something. Something has to push you up into that next level of playing. And doing the same thing isn't going to get you there. So just running the ball and staying in that comfort zone is not going to get you there. So you got to get out there and figure out how you can pick up a third down whenever running the ball is not going to get it done. And you got to be able to put up points late in games whenever running the ball is not going to be able to get it done. So it kind of goes hand in hand with what you're saying. These two teams I've watched all cycle, they've been right around 500. They've been, they might have made a playoff appearance or two, but they're never really going to make it past that wild card round. Just because they kind of stay within their comfort zone, and you have to get out of that, and you have to find new things and always mix up what you're doing. because people are smart. They're going to figure out what you're doing. And also, it's a video game. Things aren't going to work 100% of the time, all the time. So
or you
got to mix it up.
For anybody that in that aspect, we're all going to have that issue. What makes the better players overcome that issue? What makes the people in the middle of the road succumb to that situation? That is the difference in between being a great player in here, a good player, player in the middle, player at the middle, bottom right. How do you put yourself in a position to have success? Now you're talking about players who lack kind of creativity or the ability to really pass the ball. They don't see the field as well. You look at a guy like Gov. I think he's mastered not being a great passer, but being a great defender and great runner. The same thing with Draco. They find things that make them work, and then they utilize their defense to say, hey, I'm going to be aggressive in these spots defensively to create pressure for my opponent, as opposed to just saying, I'm just going to try to air it out. Since I'm struggling passing, let me just get really aggressive passing. No, they play within themselves. Now, Nemo, on the other hand, I think he can do it all. I think he's a good player that could be great if he just made a couple, like, for example, this is just my own confidence. If I felt like I could just be in the ear of Nemo on certain situations and go, no, not now. Let's go one more play of this, and then we'll go there. I think he just jumps the cliff too much, you know? I think when he wants to go cover zero or he wants to get aggressive and take a shot, I don't think it's the right time. You ever had that lip where you're like, I think it's time, and then you're like, nah, and then you go back to what you were doing, and then it works, and you go, well, I'm glad I didn't take that. I didn't go deep then, you know, because he was sitting in corner pressure here. I had to dump it off here, and it ended up working out. So I think that just having that, and that comes over time. You know, that's going to take time. It's not going to just happen overnight. Situational play calling is something that you constantly have to reevaluate with yourself, use the strength of your team, and put it on the field. But being cerebral, I think, is the most important part to playing a franchise mode, because like Lip said, we play each other how many times all year round? People start figuring out your tendencies, so you have to be able to adapt to other things and at least show different spots at your opponent to say, hey, I might be doing this. Hey, you've never seen this. Hey, I bet you haven't seen this. Hey, I'm doing this now. I'm countering what you really think is going to happen, and I'm going back the other way. Being able to constantly kind of trick your opponent is pretty essential in my mind to getting over that hump, and that's one thing. I think Nemo's really close, though. Since he asked the question, that's why I'm referencing him more.
Yeah, and I think a really good thing in there too is to be honest about it, because that's one way that you're gonna get better, and you have to figure out, you know, take small steps, try to work on one thing, you're not gonna become, you know, none of us are gonna become the greatest Madden players overnight. We all have to get in, practice, play other people, play different people, play with different teams, play a whole, because, you know, honestly, I don't play a lot of quick games, and I should a lot more, because whenever you and I were playing a lot of quick games, you would, we would take different teams and stuff sometimes, and we would find a player, and we would be like, wow, I really like how this player plays, and we would look at their attributes, and then whenever we'd go into franchise mode, we'd be like, well, man, I'm in that time.
It gives you an idea of who's similar to that guy to go, well, that guy could work here in this situation for me.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's the benefit to playing with different players, even in quick games, because you get a feel for different players. You go, okay, Nemo could go, I got Jamison Crowder, and I got Paul Richardson Jr. Okay, now I am playing with this other guy who's got a little bit more size than them. Maybe he can jump up and get it. Speed a little bit lower, but I'm noticing it isn't that bad, but he gives me that second ability to kind of go, hey, it's a 50-50 ball. Let me put it up in the air, or I can high pass it to him in the red zone, and he's holding on to those passes. There's just so many different aspects where you go with the ball, but I think play calling at the end of the day, what plays you are calling in the situation that you're in really just separates, that pretty much separates the top from the middle, or the top from the secondary, cusp of being in that great category. So right now there's just a lot of things, but it's really like Nemo is really close. But what's consistently holding him back and what could be discouraging isn't necessarily as bad as he thinks. It is not necessarily, oh, I'm not good. No, you are. You just make a mental mistake here or there. Now, how can you clean it up? Simplify the offense. Cut the field in half. When the field gets tighter and you get inside the 30, inside the 20, right? Start looking east and west. Let me cut the field in half and look to this side. Because once, me and Lippy used to talk about this, once we get inside the red zone, maybe you have 3 reads up until the 30. Once you get inside the 30, it turns into 2 reads, right? It's I'm going here or I'm going here. Any more than that, you're basically asking too much out of yourself in a condensed field. You know, you just need to go here or there. If it's not there, what are you doing? You stepping up in the pocket. You're trying to extend the play. You're taking off with your quarterback. You always have to have those things rolling through your mind. But, I mean, that's the best advice I can give you is situational play calling. Work on it. Record your games. Go back and watch them and go, Okay, all right here. Why didn't I do this play? Why didn't I run this? Why didn't I, look, I'm on the left side of the hash. Why don't I do something to go towards the open side of the field? Okay, now he's playing the open side of the field. Now I could counter back to the weak side of the field. You know, those kind of things based on your opponent, just food for thought. But that's going to do it for the episode today. Lip, any last words here? Commissioner Corner Podcast, episode number 55, which we found out today is 21 less than 34, which was Lip's number in high school. Quick math. Makes no sense, but it makes dollars, baby.
Yeah, I mean, wow. I mean, you totally threw me off with that quick math. My mind is blown. So the last
you was
thing
doing the Zach Galifianakis gift right there. You're like, 55 minus 20. Yeah, he's right. He's on the money with that one.
That's a good call. Good assessment.
Tax and accounting.
We were talking about that. I don't want to go on and on, but I mean, we were talking about one of the times we played in the Super Bowl, and you were like, "Man, I would run the ball in weird situations because I knew that it would mess with you. Like you weren't ready for it." And that Super Bowl, like you went on the ground, and it was not something I expected, and it was just a total curveball. And that's the kind of thing.
Yeah, why did I do that? Because I realized that if I went back and forth with you, it would come down to a tip pick. It would come down to those things that people don't like in Madden that they get really upset about. Well, I didn't want to play the game where it's me and you because I felt like at that point your passing was much more sharp than mine. While I might have the yards and go, well, Bomber, you threw for this, he threw for this. It's pretty comparable. I didn't feel that way. I felt like your players were a little bit better. You were making sharper reads than me, and I was relying on a lot of stick after the catch. One bad pass, one overthrow, I didn't want that to dictate the game. So let me shorten the game, let me run the ball, you won't expect it, and I'll just take my 3, and let's see what happens. And what ended up happening was it kind of put pressure on you to try to make quicker plays, right? Because you had lesser time.
I didn't have the ball anywhere near as much as usual. I wasn't in control because I was on the field. My defense was on the field for 4 minutes at a time, 4 minutes in game, almost a whole quarter at a time, and I'm like, man, I can't get the ball back. I can't control this. And it was one of those things. So when I got the ball, it was like force it. We got to score, go. And that was just playing right into the hand of the line. So it was unusual, and it threw me off, which is it's cool because you see these things. And even, God, how long ago was that? Is that like 15 seasons ago?
That was 23, I think, or...
Yeah, it was a long time ago. We're still talking about it because it was a game plan that changed, Super Bowl history in the NBL, and it's cool. And that's like when we're talking about playing differently and getting better and getting to the next level. It's those things. It's not getting the best free agent. It's not drafting the highest or the best players. It's those things that really take you from one level to a totally new level.
Yeah, you can look at your roster and see how talented they are. And unless you're sitting with a 76, if you got an 82, 83, you're a pretty talented team. Now there's certain positions you need different types of talent, and you can get into that as well. But a lot of times you got to look back on yourself and say, hey, what am I doing wrong? How can I improve my game? How can I make better decisions in these situations? What is my tendencies that are obvious? Why am I throwing into traffic? Why is the ball getting tipped? If the ball's getting tipped, I usually think, well, if the ball's getting tipped, then that means somebody's in the vicinity. Why is somebody in the vicinity? What kind of pass am I squeezing here? Those are the first questions I ask myself. So people who have issues with this or that and why it doesn't affect certain other players, well, because they're not throwing into those tighter windows. Now, how can you throw more into open spaces? Those are the things you got to lab and figure out with your squad and with your team and find out what works best for you. But that's going to do it for the show. Episode number 55. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Commissioner Corner Podcast. We'll see you back in a couple weeks. And guess what? We'll be talking rookie draft. We'll have the spin the wheel. We'll do some big stuff. Let's start preparing for it now, Lip. Lip gets on this. We got to chat now. So our broadcasts are going to be getting brighter and better. I hope you enjoyed the overlays and all the cool stuff that we've been adding so far to the show. It will continue to grow as we're trying to look for Madden 20 to take this to the next level. Maybe get some face cam rocking and rolling. We will be. I'm gonna have mine on there. Maybe we'll get Lip on there. I don't know. Depends if he wants to get on there.
I don't know if you want this.
I don't know if I want that, because then everyone's gonna say, hey, why doesn't that guy comb his hair? Remember that one? Gosh, I was like, who cares? Remember that one you did the video of, and everyone was like, why doesn't he comb his hair? And I'm thinking to myself, like,
now hold on, now don't lie.
Why doesn't that guy use shampoo?
That is ridiculous. I took just a test picture of me up against a green screen and sent it to Sonny, and it was right after I showered. My hair was a wild mess.
Yeah.
And Sonny sent it to Bomber, I think, to show him what we were working on, and then Bomber sent it to
tweeted it.
He sent it to somebody.
I tweeted it.
And then somebody was like, dude, what's up with that guy? Doesn't he like
Yeah, they're like, what's up with that sloth, man? That guy's disgusting. I know.
It was a lot of hair at the time, yes, and it was freshly washed. It was just wild.
They said they were wondering if the picture was scratch and sniff because they could smell something when they were looking at that picture. They said, oh, That guy smells like he hasn't bathed in a while.
Summertime lip is not
That's summertime musk?
Summertime lip.
Summertime musk available in the
Not
in
a
the
beverage
summer
you
only.
want.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for the show. Appreciate you guys stopping by, and we're out of here, man. Until next time, we out.
Too many people using each other. Such a waste of beautiful human beings that could be lovers. Instead we're fighters, trained to expect the worst from people. It's hard to fight for good, so we learn to work with evil. It hurts my cerebral to think about those habits. Never in between, it's either happiness or havoc. Too much of anything is bad for me though. Can only smile so long till